Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Paradigm Podcast. We hope you're having a good week. You're improving each week, getting better than you were yesterday, huh? So, before we get started, we urge you to subscribe, like the video, drop a comment down in the comment section down below, and follow us on all our social media platforms. All the information you need will be down in the description box. So, we always start here with a little bit of a disclaimer. So, we here at Paradigm do not claim to have all the answers. We simply desire to be better each day. We make videos in the hope that other people that desire the same can use some of the tools we've discovered along our journey. So, this week we're going to be talking about the last rule, Rule 12, in Beyond Order, 12 More Rules by Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Every week we recommend you go pick it up. It's a great read.
Great book.
It's a great read and a great reread, and then a great reread again, because you really got to read.
You just got to read.
You got to keep rereading it because it's so. It is really deep, and like the way he writes is just it's interesting. So I really like the book. I think I can speak for everybody that we really enjoy it. It makes you think, huh?
Yeah.
So this last chapter is titled "Be Grateful in Spite of Your Suffering." So before we even jump into the topics that really stood out to us, what did you guys think of the art?
The art.
Well, let's go back to that. Okay.
I did look at this for a bit. I think it's, I don't know. I felt
I
like
don't think I read the context on the art, but it looks like someone is suffering, but he's standing up straight. His back is straight. He's kind of taking these arrows to what looks like his rib cage.
Yeah.
What page is it?
That's
356.
355.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I thought that was cool because he's like looking up to the heavens.
Yeah.
And he's posted up to a tree with like arrows poking through him.
Yeah, and it's almost like the tree splits the image too. You have the
Yeah.
left side that's like heaven, and
Yep.
it's like really dark on the right side of the image.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it like almost self-explains itself. It's like, it doesn't look like he's I don't know. It could be he looks like he's dead already.
Like crazy. You know what I mean? Like
But I don't think that many arrows would kill you. I think you would sit there and like suffer for a bit.
Yeah.
I
He's
think they'd
bleeding
kill you.
out. He's bleeding out for sure.
Oh yeah, you would definitely die. I think you would die. I don't think like instantly as soon as they hit you.
He's all right.
That one
It's
right
a
in
flesh
the
wound.
right in the lung.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty cool little piece of art when I first looked at it. So I figured I'd bring it up.
actually says the illustrations in the beginning, I think, but go ahead.
Okay. So the first topic that really kind of stood out to us was why we should look into the darkness and why we should acknowledge it. So JBP says, the act of peering into the darkness as deeply as possible reveals a light that appears unquenchable, and that is a profound surprise as well as a great relief. So I'll ask you guys, how would you define darkness?
Darkness. Embrace the darkness.
I kind of want to hear your guys' first because I feel like we've talked about it so much that I feel like I kind of need like because in my eyes like darkness is just things that like we are known, like we know it's there, but it's like we don't want to face it.
True.
Okay. John, I see your gears grinding.
I was just listening to him. Well, the darkness, I would disagree because how could you know the things are there? You know, because it's dark. So it's like the things you don't know about, like wanting to try something new, or like something simple, like trying to go talk to a bitch at the bar. Like the darkness is like, how is this gonna go? You know, like you don't know what's there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say some things you don't know yet. Normally they're kind of spooky because like we're all kind of scared of the dark, you know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that, let me clarify that because it did come off as if like you don't want to know that. Like I think it was more of, you know, the darkness is there, or like you know that like for instance talking to a woman at a bar, like you know you want to go talk to her, but like you're afraid to, but you know that you're afraid. You're aware that you're afraid.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's where like the
That's your own
darkness
darkness.
lies, but you don't know what's on the other end.
I'm thinking of darkness more in terms of like how JBP talks about nihilism, like suffering, despair, you know, hatred for life itself, kind of.
Yeah.
How you get to that?
Bitterness.
Bitter, yeah, like
Resentment.
nothing matters. Therefore, existence shouldn't have happened, and I don't need to be here, so I might as well
Yeah.
do bad stuff.
I hate thinking about shit like that. That shit like
Right?
makes my
It's
heart
crazy,
drop.
bro.
Like,
Like how
Scary,
what does he talk about? The Columbine shooters saying that they're like this human form. Is
Yeah, they're like
something,
wiping
something.
out
It's like
the
just-
degenerates.
yeah, it's like so evil. That's what I think of when I think of like real darkness. But I think we're talking about here in terms
Everyday
of like
person.
our own darkness.
Yeah.
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 Darkness within
Because
ourselves.
I went and Googled it. I was like, darkness. And then also he defines a little bit of it in the chapter. So what I gathered was pain, tragedy, death, trauma, unknowns, catastrophes. That's kind of the pieces I found. I like what John mentions, though. He said it's something that you don't know, right? An unknown. It seems like a word that we all said.
Yeah.
Unknown. I think it really fits into his definition that I mentioned here, or that quote. He says, "The act of peering into darkness as deeply as possible reveals a light that appears unquenchable." So the unknown being that light at the end of that tunnel, it might be faint, but that's something that you find. And once you find that, it's unquenchable.
Does that
I
mean
like the idea of unknown.
Does that mean once you reach it, it's almost
It's a
It's hard to
burning,
take.
like it's unquenchable. It's a flame that doesn't go out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the way I think about it, especially the way you tied it in, like when I was thinking about like things I don't know, I was thinking about like going rock climbing, trying jujitsu.
Yeah.
Like those are things I didn't know about. And like once you get started, you're like, oh my gosh, like there's just so much. Like there's just so much. And like I can't get enough of like the thing. Like once I'm in it, I'm like, like I still could know so much more, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I think that quote, it fits well, and it really does define the unknown aspect. How do you think that would apply to pain or tragedy?
The unknown.
No, we've
Just
done the
darkness?
unknown. Yeah, darkness.
Yeah,
and what appears unquenchable in those experiences.
Oh.
Relief, like happiness, you know? Like
So you
feeling-
look into pain, tragedy, death, trauma, and you get relief.
no, those are the things that like you're not able to quench at those moments. You understand?
I
Like
see.
you're under pain, and you're like fucking this shit sucks, dude. I was an athlete, my leg's broken, I can't play football right now. Like my fucking bitch left me. Like
My hyena.
what's
hyena didn't make my lawn shade.
What's unquenchable is fucking being happy. You're like everything fucking sucks, like pain, physical pain, you know,
Yeah.
or mental
Okay.
pain,
So you're looking into that.
and you're like it's never gonna get better.
And
Like
then
I'm not gonna fix my knee.
Okay.
I think ask the question again.
So we've talked about unknowns, how there
Right.
can be a light in there that's unquenchable in that
Oh, it's not
darkness,
back there.
right? But in the aspect of pain, tragedy, death, trauma, or catastrophes, how do you find the light that's unquenchable in those experiences?
Oh,
Are they unlike unknowns where there might?
Well, when we
You know what I'm
one thing I remember from this chapter was just the just knowing that you can kind of quench that or find that light by for one peering into it, but being grateful for the past experiences that are everything you just said, going through pain, tragedy, suffering, all that stuff. Being grateful for those moments and being able to, I guess, divert your attention to the light. That's how you can kind of like find it, I would say.
Okay. So to the person that asks you why should I be grateful for all that? What would you tell
Why
them?
should I be grateful?
For the darkness.
Because you wouldn't
Yeah,
know how to, or you wouldn't appreciate the good times without the bad times. Like if it was only good times, then how would we be able to distinguish the good?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like unlimited.
Yeah. What 50 Cent say? He said,
There's
sunshine
always-
wouldn't be so
yeah.
good if it wasn't
Take you
for
to the
rain.
candy shop.
Yeah, take you to the candy shop. Yeah, whatever lollipop you want.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good summary. That's why like you peer into the dark, like you want to go through the darkness, not necessarily like to feel those like anguish and like that stuff in your stomach that like you don't like feeling, but I think you become more grateful at the end of it. Like you recognize like I'm so much better off that I did that. You know what I mean? I'm so like if I didn't do that, then I would still be maybe like not grateful. I don't know, simple terms like. So
Right.
I think we have to all find something to be grateful in.
Do you
Right.
guys have any examples that you'd be willing to share?
Of being grateful for.
Yeah, like you looked into the darkness and you found something. Is that something you'd be willing to share? Or
The
no?
first thing that came to my mind was I think I did not. I wasn't happy with like the way I looked physically when I was about 20, 22, something like that. So I started going to the gym a lot, and I think you know, you have to kind of look in the mirror every time like you say you want to like look better or whatever. So I had to understand my own body and my own, I guess, habits. So it's like peering into my own sense of, you know, I guess I don't want to say lazy, but I mean, I'm speaking of in terms of lazy for myself. Like that was one thing I had to, I guess, look at, you know, and use it to my ability and be thankful for the body that I had at the time, because now I'm able to make progress through that to where I'm at now and hopefully go further.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm grateful for the body I had. I was like, all right, well, I have that much more muscle to grow.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. I think obviously I don't know how subtle or how small it would be, like, but like in my eyes, like playing video games was like it wasn't dark time, but like when it got attached to like losing one of my close friends to like a drug overdose, like me like kicking video games was like almost having him like he's still like, I still think about him all the time, but like it's almost like I'm trying to prove to him that like I'm gonna be something in this life instead of like someone that plays video games at 30. You know what I mean? Like our whole childhood was playing video games and playing competitively and stuff, and then like as we got older, like we were accumulating adult responsibilities while still remaining children.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think I really removed video games from my life, like due to like him passing. And it's like I don't really enjoy playing video games anymore due to like I don't have anybody to really seriously play with anymore. So I associate like that dark time with like video games. So I see like myself now like focused on the gym and focused on trying to get better in business and real estate, and it's like these are the things that I think I should be focused on, or I think that are right for my life as an adult, as responsibilities become more and more I get entered into my life. Like I want children, I want family one day. You know, I want to retire my mom. Like, so how do I do that? By playing video games. I guess you could.
So you
nowadays.
identified that playing video games for you was a bad habit.
Yeah, it was a really dark. I guess the one that once he passed, it was like every time I think about video games, that's like what I think about.
Yeah, because how old was he? He's pretty young.
He was like 24. We were like 22,
Yeah.
23, 24.
Damn.
Yeah, and it was like,
Well.
so yeah, I think peering into that like really sparked my interest in entrepreneurship and like really getting my feet, like fucking lacing my boots up and just being like, bro, just get in shit and figure it out. And if you don't know, fail, whatever, and get back up and keep failing. You know?
Yeah.
Just keep swimming.
Yeah, definitely. So did you guys have a favorite part of this chapter?
Or did John get to say his? Or?
Did you want to share one, John?
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite part.
Yeah. Did it make you think
That's
of anything?
Good, there's a lot that made me think of everything in this chapter, bro.
Okay, I'll go. My favorite part was him talking about Thanksgiving, because
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I'm kind of like an evangelist of Thanksgiving being like the top tier holiday nowadays. Like I thought that like prior to reading this, so that's why it really hit home with me.
Yeah.
And like the reason why I like it so much is because in like today's current climate, it's the last holiday that we can all get behind and be like, come on, like as like a nation, as like a community, we can all be like, hey, have our closest friends and family around, have food, and be thankful just for living this life we get to live. Like despite all the bad stuff, despite all of like the trials and tribulations the person next to you has gone through that you don't know about, and vice versa, we can come together and be like, I'm thankful that we're here. I'm thankful that you're here with me, and I hope to do it again next year, despite it all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was a big part.
So I really like that part.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is the top tier of all holidays.
Yeah. Did you guys see that interview with Shia LaBeouf and that other, I forget his name, but he played
talking
like
about. He's talking about his drug problem and all that, right?
Yeah, I think that like John touched on it a little bit. Like I was listening to some of that video or the interview today, because I haven't seen the full thing and I'm kind of watching it, but he talks about the ministry of presence. And I think that's sort of like why people most people love Thanksgiving so much, and that's why I love that's my favorite holiday too, is like just the presence of like being around people that like care about you. Yeah. Is like the most important thing, you know what I mean? Like I feel like Christmas is sort of turning superficial. But like Thanksgiving is like you're just thankful for everybody being here. And then the follow up, going back to the book, before JBP talks about Thanksgiving and why you should be grateful for family and the presence of everybody being there, is like he talks about being strong during losing a loved one or losing a family member.
Yeah, being that person.
It's almost like you become selfish if you sulk and grief for that, like for the rest of your life. Like that person would want you to like be strong and move on with the family and hold people together. And then he starts talking about why family and Thanksgiving and things are such like a present thing to be in. It's like you should appreciate and be grateful for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's crazy. That part when he was talking about the person you have to be when a family member passes, and how it affects other people, and how you can be an example for people. You can be an example of strength at the funeral. You can be an example of unity at the funeral. You can be an example of gratitude and many different things. And by being that person and setting that example, other people that are like that are facing the darkness for real, like, they're hurting on the inside. They don't know how to grieve. They can look to you and be like, how do they do it?
Yeah, if they already have problems, it's another problem to stack onto their problem. Like, so it's a.
And then I think about it. We have older people in my family that I think about a lot, and I think I'm like, what did this person teach me by their actions in life? And I think that's a real good thing to share, right? So with my grandma, she was like really it's like the most caring person I've ever met. And I think that's a lesson that she taught people by just the way she lived her life. Yeah. And sharing those moments with the people that are really hurting, I think can be invaluable. It's like it's just beyond valuing, So being that person, you can be such like a symbol, and you can really help people. Yeah,
that was a big part. Those parts are huge for me too.
Yeah.
I think another big part, I guess my personal one that I would actually say would be like the awareness of up and down. I think we talked about it like the beginning of our conversation, like being able to recognize why you're grateful. If you don't ever have bad times, then you can never understand why you're grateful for having good times. It aligns us with a spectrum of up and down.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ebb and flow of everything. It's crazy. As I'm getting older, I'm noticing that. Like, I used to live like, man, every day's a good day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then some days you just get hit with like some sort of curveball, and you're like, man, this fucking sucks. And it's interesting to learn about the ebb and flow of life, and certain things that you do that put you into the rut, and then some that bring you back out.
Sometimes I think about like when you talk about when you went to Hawaii that one time, and you're like, I could do that for like so many days, and then I'm like, all right, I got to get back to doing something, because I think like in my brain, I think of that as an example, as if we always had grateful opportunity, like blessed viewings, or if we were just in Hawaii, a beach, we just did that, like, lounge around all day. How many people would go insane doing that every single day?
Right?
You know what I mean? And I think that's what
after a month, I'm like,
I think you will lose sense of like why you're here. Like you'll lose sense of purpose.
Yeah. That's why it's that's like, I think we're thinking of like the touristy people that kind of just chill all the time. Yeah. But like Hawaii itself, there's like the locals, like they work for the island. They respect the island. They're like do all that stuff,
But yeah, straight up, I couldn't do it. Like seriously, when I was out there and I was like, okay, God, I have a meeting. Thank goodness, like when we were still meeting, I was like, dude, it gives me something to do. There was like, I don't know. When you're on vacation mode, you're on vacation mode, but it's nice to get out of it. And if you're on vacation mode too long, it can be pathetic. So yeah, that's a good, parts. It's a good example. But overall, I really liked the chapter. There was a lot of really good stuffs in it. Stuffs. And
stuff them.
Before we get out of here, let's review the book as a whole. So who do you think this book was written for?
The people that didn't read chapter, or that did read first book.
That did read it?
Yeah, it's like almost like a continuation.
Okay.
It felt like a continuation for me, because it felt like all the stuff was sort of like not repetitive, but it's almost like what we talk about in personal development.
Okay.
It's like his chapters go along the lines of like just the philosophy behind purpose and belief and gratitude and the devil and darkness and the great and good, like reasons to have purpose. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're lost, there's still a purpose to be found. So a lot of that stuff. I found a lot of that stuff in the previous book too. 12 Rules of Life. The antidote. 12 Rules of Life.
I'm trying to think what the first 12 were. Okay, I got them right here. But I think the book was written, like you said, for people that have read the first book, or for people that have too much order in their life, right? Like the first one was An Antidote to Chaos, how to bring more order to the chaos, right? And then this one is the flip, where it's like people have their lives ordered so well that they need a little bit of chaos in their life.
Right. There's a benefit. There's a benefit to that.
I think now, like hindsight, it was always supposed to be like 2 parts, 1 whole. Like if you remember, 12 Rules of Life is a white covered book with gold letters. This is a black covered book with like white letters. It's like it's 2 books, like yin yang. You know, like
they're supposed to be next to each other on the shelf.
Yeah, and like the first one is like for people who are like all scrambled eggs in the brain and they need to tighten up, you know. But then once you get that down, you can be like, hey, look, there's more than life than just being an omelet, you know. We can have a little fun in the kitchen, you know.
Denver omelet.
Oh my god, that was like that was the golden golden bar of the fucking video. So. We can have some fun in the kitchen, dog.
One thing that I recognized,
don't be scared.
He didn't mention a lot was like cleaning up your room. Like that's one thing that I think like John pointed, like that's the first book.
Maybe a little messy.
Like, the first book.
The first ones were the first one. So stand up straight with your shoulders back is the first chapter. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. You remember that? That one where you
had a little messy.
Yeah. Make friends with the people who want the best for you. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. And we were at the gym the other day, and somebody was like, "Man, that guy's really good, like really, really good." I was like, "Yeah, don't compare yourself to like." We have a new person that comes with us to the gym, and they're progressing well. And this person was like, "Man, they're progressing really fast." Like, and then see him, the gears changing, and comparison is a detriment to all progress. But that one right there, it hits every day. You have to remind yourself to like compare myself to who I was yesterday, not to who that person is right now.
I just posted that shit on my story today too.
Yeah, dude.
That's funny.
And then do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world.
Oh, that's the one that he talked about and got like a lot of criticism behind that book.
Yeah. It's literally it's a remix of a scripture. Yeah. And people are like calling that bad.
Yeah, I feel like it's crazy. It's really deep philosophy and the reason behind your like life. It's like to find purpose, like
Yep. And then the last few. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Oh man, this was a good one. Tell the truth or at least don't lie. Assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't. Be precise in your speech. Do not bother children when they are skateboarding, and pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. A lot of those stick out to me.
Yeah, they do.
And then some don't,
Yeah.
So those are seriously really, really good. And did you guys buy a book and it had were they both the same exact size?
No.
No? I got my white book is a paperback and it's smaller.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's a perfect symbol for how I live my life, because I don't have enough chaos in it sometimes, and it's all order.
Yeah.
That's why the order's bigger. And I was like, dude, the world works in mysterious ways.
Mine's up there. I don't even know where it's at.
Interesting.
But they couldn't be me. Mine's that hardback. They're good. They're good.
Even.
They're good matches for each other.
Bro, I like
this
the new
economy.
In this economy.
We getting the
Someone's got to be me.
We getting that used edition.
We're getting that used edition.
All right.
Already got garage sale.
The garage sale. Beyond order garage sale.
It had notes in it.
All right. I got another question. What was your biggest takeaway from the entire Beyond Order, and how will you be applying it to your life moving forward?
Ooh.
Don't be a sad bitch. Sorry, cut that. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Don't be a sad bitch. You sad.
Call the police.
Call the police. Call the police. Cut that.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry. Okay.
No, it's for comedy over here, guys.
Yeah.
That's for comedy.
It's entertainment purposes.
Solely for comedy.
But I will
I
say,
need to see the
like
choppers.
as I was reading this, the country doesn't get drowned out from outside forces or like, woe is me. I'm like, dude, literally everyone, and I mean everyone, fucking is upset all the time, including me. Yeah. Maybe you don't show it, but what can you do? Despite it all, I still wake up and all I hear is, man, dude, John Doe's got a smile on his face. Like, what else do you do, dude? Like, you're gonna be sad about it? Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Right.
I still gotta do my thing.
Yeah, you gotta accept it.
I think for me, it's gonna be plan and work diligently to maintain the romance in your relationship.
Ooh.
I think that's a big one that I got.
That is
from
a big
this
one.
That's a good one.
Because
Add
you
more.
know, I think
Yeah, that's a good one.
most people aren't. Most people are the same. They want to feel loved. They want to be with someone. I don't think anybody wants to leave this life alone. And I think this is an important one to at least have on your mind when you are pursuing someone, because we have a lot of examples of people that didn't maintain relationship or maintain romance around us, and look what happens. So it's I think it's a slept on rule for
It's hard.
everybody.
To suck, though.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really hard. I mean, a lot of these are hard, but even that is super hard. So,
Yeah, it's not a cop out though. Yeah.
That's my favorite too. But
Is that
reason,
chapter 10? Are you guys saying chapter 10?
Yeah.
So that one for me was not just because of the title alone, because that's true, But what I agree with is he says dating is. Well, he doesn't say it, but what I take it as is dating is a skill that you have to learn.
Yeah.
I live by this. I live by the principle that everything can be learned.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes hard work, and it's gonna suck at first, but it takes a lot of hard work to develop a skill. And he
Yep.
compares dating to skill, or he equates it to it. And as soon as that hit my brain, it clicked, and I was like, okay.
Should make sense.
That's it. It should be something that you can constantly work on, and then combining it with John. He said in the first JBP, he's like, some people think of relationships like a plant,
Right.
and when you have the plant, do you forget to water it, or you just and put it up on the shelf, or do you water it every day?
Yeah.
And it's like it finally clicked to the sense of dating should, and a lot of relationships get away from that. It's like it's a skill,
And like, you learn new combo sets, dude.
Right.
You're like, hold up, paint night and pizzas at home. You know?
exactly.
Like, I don't know. Like, you learn new
Yeah.
combo moves.
I think that one not only just applies to like a romantic partner though. A lot of what he was talking about, you could apply to like friends, coworkers, people that you want relationships with, and you want to maintain them.
Mm-hmm.
And it honestly, I've been that rule. I've been kind of thinking about a lot recently. Dating wise, and just like where I work, and things have been like the world doesn't seem so heavy anymore because you are establishing and maintaining relationships with people that you see every day.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, I like that.
pretty dope.
yeah. That was my favorite too.
Yeah, it's hard to choose, dude. Because I feel like I would choose that one, but I don't want to choose that one because
Yeah.
it was so relevant to my life in the present moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's why it had like such an impact. But I want to say like if I could choose another one, like if I think the first one would be like notice that opportunity lurks where responsibility has been abdicated.
Right.
And I think that's what like every person, it almost goes along this line of like thinking that everything is not a skill and that people are just born with skills. It's like,
Right.
no, you're not
Yeah.
good at something because you're abdicating or you're objecting to like the
I don't
fact
want
that you
that
have to, you have to study something that like it's probably
Exactly.
fucking hard.
Yep.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
it
Like-
definitely is. If
So,
it
and
wasn't,
it's-
you'd do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I think like that one, right? Like I remember feeling that when I read that chapter. It was like, if I think about my life, like if I'm not where I'm at or where I want to be, it's probably because I've like pushed things to the side, or I'll do this tomorrow, or we know like you know what I mean, like copping out and being like, oh, I'll just do it, and then recognizing, reading my journal, and this is why I think it's so. That's why I love journaling. Is like I look back at the goals I wrote down and stuff.
Right.
I'm like, I didn't fucking achieve any of this shit. Like I didn't do like some stuff like I think beginning of my journal is like make more money and like getting to 200 pounds. Like 200 pounds is still fucking. I've been trying to achieve that for like the past year and a half.
That'd be
You know what I
hard.
mean? Like it's. But also I'm like, okay, is it just hard or is it like am I forgetting to do something? Right? Am I keeping track of how much I'm eating? No. Am I eating
Or
more? Like
take the time to understand like why you want.
why it, so it's like I can't just
That's
blame
the
it or
responsibility.
be like, oh, I'm not gaining weight and it's hard for me to gain weight. Well, am I putting the effort to understand why I'm not gaining weight?
Right.
Yeah, that's the responsibility.
Yeah.
Is the effort.
Yeah, so I think that's like one
Oh,
example is
man.
I abdicate like and push it to the side and so
Yeah. There were some really good ones in there.
Yeah, but I think that the one you guys mentioned is probably like a big one because it was so in the present moment.
It's interesting like that how you mentioned they tie together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh, everything's not a skill. They're just born with it. Then I don't have to take responsibility for learning it. You know, it's like. Yeah. It's crazy what our mind will come up with to get us to just take it easy.
Yeah, it's like what David said too. Like you kind of just have to look at yourself. Like you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, "Damn, I'm not good."
You're a
at
lazy
this.
piece of shit. All right,
I'm not good, dude.
We all are. All right. All right. How about you, John? Did you have a favorite chapter?
Probably either 11 or 12.
11 or 12.
Which says, "Do not allow yourself to become resentful."
Oh, that was actually
deceitful
really
or arrogant.
Yeah.
The resentful part is what really sticks out for me. That's like one thing I want to like not be is resentful. Like, and that's why 12 is my favorite is because it's like be grateful in spite of your suffering. It's like despite it all, can you be grateful? So those are probably my favorite too.
Sweet. Hell yeah, dude.
Perfect.
All right. How does Beyond Order compare to the first 12 rules to you guys?
I think it's just the difference, like the yin and yang.
Okay.
That you guys mentioned earlier. It's just
I think that's a good way to put it.
Both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
I think the first one's meant for younger people.
Yeah.
Like my
my
initial thought. God fucking ace. Relax, dude. We're almost fucking done, dude. I swear we're gonna do shit, okay? I fucking promise.
All right. I go outside now.
Dog duties.
Put him on camera, dude.
Yeah, dude.
On cam.
Sorry.
You good?
All right.
Hey, man.
Go through it.
You be grateful despite your suffering.
I know, despite all, I'm still happy.
It's the responsibility. That dog.
So, yeah. The first one's meant for young people, I think, who are like a little wild, you know, they need more order, maybe.
Totally, yeah.
And this is like, okay, now we can have a little bit more fun. You know, you kind of figured it out.
Yeah.
You learn
like,
discipline.
Late 20s plus.
Who usually needs a little bit more order in their life is younger people, I would say. Well, I would say older people that are kind of like found their order. That's when life gets a little dull, and then maybe they need to introduce some chaos to like why they think the way they think.
Yeah. Did you notice any similarities or?
I noticed some rules that were kind of like, I would say the same.
When he talks about cleaning up the room, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one he talks about clean up your room.
The one make one room as beautiful as possible.
Yeah. And then this one had something very, very similar. I think there was some similar ideas. Pinocchio was in both books. He really
used them children's stories too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I like how you opened the book with don't denigrate institutions or whatever the chapter. Like I like how like he
came with a punch.
He came
like
with the
for real. He was like, y'all reading this book? You better understand that I just been going through a bunch of shit, and then I came out of the hospital, and so I'm addressing this shit right now.
We're starting this thing off with a big cup of chaos.
Yeah. He's like, I know the person that's reading it. I have the people that put a question mark above my head. I have to come with the big hitter at first because it's a debate.
I like how he opened it with that.
Yeah. I like that too. And then he's saying that he's open to listening to creatives and the idea of how you want to change those systems, but tell me how they're better. Tell me how we'll get improvement. And tell me why I should do this instead of that. And I think that's the biggest point. He's telling you, like, I'm open to hearing new ideas, but you better come with some real stuff because it doesn't make things better.
Yeah.
You know? That was that whole thing. So, like, I'll introduce chaos into my life, but does it make it any better?
Yeah, or is it just chaos?
Right? Or is it just chaos? And chaos doesn't have to be bad. You know, it might have a negative connotation to it, but
it's just like the it's like a state of like existence. It's like there's either order or there's chaos.
Yeah, exactly. And then finding that line.
Yeah, dude.
All right, I got a question. I want you to think about it. Don't just jump straight in. If you could ask JBP one question at a Q&A or one-on-one, what would it be? Now that we've read both books.
I've thought about this a lot.
Okay, so you're already locked and loaded?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Give me like 2 seconds, because now you got me like, oh shit, maybe I should have thought about this. I don't know.
John, I can't hear you. You're muted.
Let me hear yours.
I'm still thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start it off then.
Oh.
You have yours?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mine. I'm curious to know, JBP, if you're watching this.
Oh yeah.
What do you think the purpose of life is?
Oh, he told.
He told?
He told us in the book.
The purpose of life?
Yeah,
He said
it's
the
to
purpose of
pursue-
life is this.
Pursue what is meaningful, not what is
He
expedient.
said that's the purpose of life? You think he would answer, yeah, go read this rule if you asked him?
You
I
know
mean,
what?
even though he's
I don't know what he tells you.
maybe if he, yeah. Because usually he speaks like, I don't know, he says a lot of things to answer one question.
He'd be like,
So
purpose, life.
what if he was just
Such
like,
a
bro,
good
what the? I already told you,
Like,
bro.
this
Go
guy
read the
got
damn
magic
book.
fingers, bro. And that bitch rapping. All right.
Yeah. I think mine would be along the lines of like something like political,
Okay.
because that's what he gets associated with so much. I think it would be like, how do we avoid the like deterioration of like the institutions or like the I don't even know how to word it, like the good in like the world. Like how do we not like how do we don't go too far as people on this planet, or how do we recognize that we have gone too far and we're actually a detriment to humanity on this planet, like within a
Yeah, you think this
philosophical like approach. Like obviously he's
Yeah,
not going to give
he's
a
a
practical
thinker.
like, yeah, so I think
That's
like
next level though.
I think like, because I feel like it's getting to that point where so many people like listening to people speak, it's almost like along the lines of, you just hear people speak that are good-hearted, don't lean left, don't lean right, they just know what's like a common ground, what's like good for you.
That's
like,
getting
what's right,
taken
what's
out.
wrong.
Yeah.
it's like stuff like that is being removed.
Yep.
Like it's like that shit's scary, dog. Like I don't know, like, and so it's like, how do we know when we've gone too far and there's really no like.
Man, I want to like challenge people who are maybe watching this and are, have maybe heard some of the buzz around JPP, or some of the things he's talked about. I'm curious to see if you've even read the books. Like, have you read 12 Rules, Maps of Meaning, Beyond Order?
Yeah.
And if you do feel that way, read the books and then tell us why.
Yeah,
I'm open
please,
to hearing that.
Please,
Yeah,
I would
for
actually
sure.
love to talk about
Yeah,
that.
me too.
Yeah.
And I think what we live in right now is just social media is such a predominant way of or thing in everybody's lives, and I don't like act like I don't go on social media. Like I like social media, I enjoy social media because it's easy access to see the people that I like actually want to keep up with. But it's like it's turned into this thing like anytime you read something, you think it's true.
If it's by the person you agree with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it just like the algorithm showing things that like align with what you believe. And I'm not saying that's wrong or right, but like just take a minute to think about what you're reading. And if you go tell somebody else, there's a side of that you believe is true with just reading that thing. And so I think that's what's happened with a lot of what's happened with JBP. I'm not a defendant of JBP. I really do like the man. I really like what he writes. And I love his like philosophical way of thinking and how he approaches life and what he's done for men. But at the same time,
And
he
women.
can be wrong. He's just a human.
Yeah.
He's not like some fucking perfect guy that I see in my eyes. Like, so I don't know.
Well, what I think I'd ask him, the first question I'd ask him is for an hour of his time.
Sheesh.
But
$12,000.
But what I really want is if you see his videos, we went and saw him live. He's very mindful.
Yeah.
And mindfulness is something that comes either with age, experience, practice, but I want to know what's the best way to develop that, because when somebody asks him a question, and you can notice this with a lot of people, when you're asked a question, you go with that instant response, your brain pops up. I feel like, he's not perfect at this, but he takes the time to look at that thought, break it down, and go look for another one before he answers. He'll sit there after a question and think. And does he have any questions about your question so he can be more clear? I like how mindful he can be. Do I think he's mindful all the time? No. Like when he tweeted about Yumi Nu, I think that big girl, right? It's like, I'm sure in a fit of emotion, he tweeted that, right? That's his thing. He can do that. Wasn't the most mindful, but when he is mindful, he's really good at it. And so I would like to learn how he does that and how he developed that.
Yeah, it's a really insightful way. I think that's like wisdom, and wisdom is taught through like experience, and experience is time, and time is like
It's
going,
critical
like,
thinking.
Yeah.
Right, because a lot of people just do, like you're saying, people just do what they accept, right? But how do you really take the time to sit there and question that? You have to have a debate with somebody that actually is a proponent of what you're talking about.
Well, that's the abundance we currently live in. Like, if you don't understand something and you disagree with it, like genuinely you read something, it's like, fuck this, I hate this. Like, go find someone that has that belief and just listen to them. Like,
Yeah. I
if you
would love
can't
to
even
talk
listen
about
to like people have their
They
own
disagree.
opinion, then I would say that's a problem.
Lay down.
Yeah, I think, man.
But-
Theo Vaughn does something really cool on his podcast. What is it? Next weekend? This past weekend with Theo Vaughn, he interviews people from all different occupations, all different places around the world that are just regular people. And he talks about just, I don't know what exactly he talks about in all of them, but he just talks about what they do and what they believe in, you know. And
Who's podcast?
Theo Vaughn, the comedian.
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah,
I know. He's talking about
yeah.
that.
He got the mullet.
This past weekend.
Oh, I know.
But he just has people on and they talk and it's cool because I think people don't get that opportunity. Like a mortician,
Yeah.
and he talks about what they do for work, and then if possible, he might dip into what they believe.
See, that's the fucking great thing behind social media. I love shit like that. It's like
Yeah.
I can't experience everybody in the world, but I love
Right.
to just hear people's stories. And
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're introverted, I think like a social media is like definitely like a great thing for
Sure. All right, John. If you could ask him a question, what would you do? What would it be?
What are his 3 heroes
Oh, okay.
and why?
Oh, that's actually
That's a good one.
interesting. Yeah.
That's a really good one.
He's like Superman, Batman.
Yeah.
He talks about
Spider-Man.
Nietzsche a lot.
Frederick
Oh,
Nietzsche.
man.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's one of them.
Carl Jung,
Or Freud.
Sigmund Freud. Those
Sigmund
3
Freud.
right there. Like
Yeah, I have
big
so many
ones.
books that I'm like, fuck,
Yeah.
bro.
He's
See,
like, I'm my own hero.
He mentioned Viktor Frankl in this book. Have you guys read that Man's Search for Meaning?
No, I have that.
It's really good. It's only 118 pages.
Is he the one that writes the Gulag too, or the
No.
who
That-
writes that?
That's Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
Yeah. Oh no.
Are you sure? I think it was.
It's a
Frankl.
Russian dude.
No,
No, Viktor Frankl read Mass
Frankl?
Meaning. Yeah, I'll look it up. But
because I have all those. But I have like the Man Search of Meaning or Search of Meaning, and then
the Gulag. Solzhenitsyn, the Gulag Archipelago.
yeah,
Yeah, that one. That's
the Gulag.
it
Yeah.
talks about like that shit's crazy.
What's a Gulag?
That's the concentration camps they sent farmers to in Russia
Yeah, it's fucking
when
dark,
they
bro.
started communism.
I was thinking of Call of Duty.
And they don't talk about that, but yeah. All right, so last question. Would you recommend this book to others, and if so, why? And if not, why not?
I would say most people know, to be honest. Like, it's such a hard read. And, like, to get anyone to read anything is fucking, like, I give someone the easiest book.
Yeah.
And they're like, no,
As a
I didn't
man
do
thinking.
it.
Yeah,
I decided to smoke weed instead. You know, like,
Yeah.
so no, I would say, but I think this is a book you have to want to read on your own because it takes a commitment to want to read it, you know?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the only time I would recommend it, like, if people bring up to me, hey, like, JBP, what do you think of it? I read his books. Like, they're really good.
Just read
you
his
know?
books, yeah.
Really, you should check them out, you know?
I think
But-
that'd be the same case.
Or
for
where'd
me.
you learn this from? Like, if I end up living by principles in this book, where'd you learn this from? Be like, oh, check this book out. You know, that's when I think I'd recommend it because, and you know, I'll recommend it right now. Go pick up the book. I do it every episode. But
Dude, let's put it in the dude. We've been reading this book since last
April.
school year.
Yeah.
Since fucking last school year. Like
Yeah.
that's what's fucking
Yeah.
crazy.
Holy
it's a beast.
shit,
You
it
have to really take the time to break it
One
down.
chapter at a time. You're like, fuck, dude. It takes
Yeah.
commitment.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
there's
dude.
a lot of. Damn, I didn't
We're
even
all a little bit
recognize that.
older.
Holy shit.
April.
It's a little bit older.
Yeah,
We
but-
climbed Whitney during this book.
Yo, yeah, we
we
did.
lived a whole goddamn
Yeah.
life during this book.
I fucking
This
went to
book
across the country.
Took a year out of me.
Just read it.
All right. Cool. All right. So, last things we'll talk about on this video. Now that we finished this book, where are we going? David choosing the next book.
We are choosing Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill.
Mhm.
Why'd you choose that book?
It was recommended to me by my good friend Johnny Hernandez. Johnny, if you're watching this, shout out to him. A real estate agent that's killing it in Fresno and the Central Valley.
Yeah.
He was talking to me about this book because me and him have, pretty deep talks, and we talk about, like career paths and, just trying to level up as a man in the world. And he was talking about this book where this guy, he listened to the audio version, and it's talking about someone who's basically asking or having a conversation with the devil. And we'll get into it, but it's just interesting to hear that the way Johnny was describing it, saying that the audiobook kind of personifies the devil in the book, and he's talking to, I believe, Napoleon
It's like
Hill,
a-
right?
yeah.
And he's saying what he's looking out for, and
For prey?
for prey, and how basically what fears that the humans have, and that what he's trying to like I
Ooh.
guess,
Yeah,
capitalize on.
the audio book is sick. Like I read like chapter 2,
Okay.
but it's like they literally made the audio book as if he's sitting down talking to the
Oh,
devil.
that's so sick.
Like it's sick.
And there's a bunch of great reads out there. I think we wanted to give ourselves maybe just sort of a lighter read, something that isn't
Yeah.
as thicky as this
Thicky.
one. You know what I'm saying? But also, why are we even choosing books still? I think it's because we are trying to still get better, and there's a ton of stuff to learn out there that we cannot just read just for fun, but it's so that we can apply it, talk about these things, talk about the concepts, and just have a conversation and bring it to our audience.
Yeah.
And see what they have to say, and encourage people to read books. I mean, we're reading
Game
books
changer.
out here.
Yeah, really. Do you guys think we'll ever read a fiction book?
If someone recommends one who's watching,
It's got to have a moral to it, something I can learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there's
if
good
I'm gonna
fiction
read a
books out
fiction
there.
book, I think I'm
Sci-fi
just gonna-
fantasy with
I'll
dragons
put a movie on.
and
Good review. Yeah,
I don't know.
we'll start Paradigm reviews for fun.
Yeah, dude.
Did you guys
Johnny
read
muted.
Did you guys read Aragon today?
Hey, Aragon is a dope book.
It was.
Put some
But
respect.
I'm not gonna read it again, the whole series, and talk about it on the
let's
YouTube
do it, bro.
channel.
You
No,
trying to read
thank
Harry
you, bro.
Potter?
Nah.
How
That
did?
shit's
Okay.
crazy.
Nah.
Pinocchio was fiction, and Jordan Peterson talks about it.
Yeah, there's something to learn. Naruto's fiction.
You don't think there's something to learn about Harry Potter?
There's a hero's journey. That's what I know. Shout out to my girl. She'll know what that is. All right, so all right, I'm gonna take us out. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another installment of Paradigm Podcast. We hope you really enjoyed the show. Let us know if you did. Let us know if you didn't. Down in the comment box below. Like the video. Punch the fuck out of it. Just, Make sure it's an odd number though, so it stays on there. All right, beat it up, and then subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. We're gonna be doing books. We're gonna start. We have a Mount Whitney video coming out. That's probably out by the time you see this. And a reaction video to it that fills in the blanks of the story.
Yep.
You gotta go check that out. I mean, we went to the highest point in the lower 48 states. It's definitely higher than where you're at right now. So go ahead and check that out. And is there any books you recommend for a future series that you think we would learn a lot from? Drop that down in the comment box as well.
Yep.
So follow us on our social media. All the information you'll need is down in the description box below. And remember, the life you live now creates who you'll be tomorrow. Peace.
Peace.